breakfast right now, you had breakfast. What did you have for breakfast today? Just quickly put it in the chat box right now. Let's just do that. Toast. What else? What else do you have for breakfast today? All right. Come on, put it up there. Put it up there. All right. Consistently for the past 2 weeks, I think almost every single weekday I'm having toast with soft-boiled egg. Consistent. Sometimes simple things like that, it's sufficient, right? It's sufficient. Awesome, awesome. Toast and eggs, awesome. Good minds think alike, right? Okay. Well, how many of you, quick question, how many of you have already signed up for Dagoberto Castillo's session on tomorrow night? How many of you have signed up? If you have signed up, press 1. If you have not signed up, press 2. All right, awesome. A lot of you have signed up. Now, you have not signed up, I strongly encourage you to sign up because that's a MAPS leadership coach all the way from Florida, Fort Lauderdale, that will be teaching us about creating purposeful time blocking using a tool called 411. I think he's an expert in that area. Just to share with you what's a MAPS coach. A MAPS coach is someone that is a professional coach by this organization called MAPS in KW, and the cost to hire a coach for 1 hour a month is $1,000 minimum. So that's the value that he has, and he's coming all the way from Florida through a live Zoom call to just help us understand how to do our business systematically through time blocking using a tool called 411. So I just thought everyone should be there, and you should be sending out this message to your friends, either they're in our company or not in our company, because I believe this is something that will help them succeed in their business in this season. Now, all we need to know that we are in a very trying and challenging seasons right now. So these are things that could potentially change our lives, right? Just send it out there. Now, I want to be clear that you guys should be registering for this ASAP, okay? We have about over 300 people registered for this already. So we want to quickly bring in the crowd so that we know we have a limitation on Zoom, but I will try to invite everyone as I can. So just quickly do that. Okay, so today we are in a series that we will potentially be doing it weekly. The series is called the 6 Personal Perspective. So what we are planning to do for the next 3 weeks to have this series consistently going on. And we're going to break down the 6, what do you call that, personal perspective into 3 segments. So 2 perspectives per week, right? And we are going to do the first 2 today. Now, give you a big background on the 6 personal perspective. It is actually research done by Gary Keller and his team, where they interview all the top performing agents. And when I talk about top performing agents, I'm talking about agents that are netting $1 million a year. And when they gather a few hundred of them and research on what is it that they think and how do they behave, and what's their perspective and their approach to life in order for them to drive them to this success. Now, from that research came this 6 personal perspective. Okay, so today we're going to talk about the first 2 perspectives. And with me here is William Goh, our KW University Malaysia regional trainer, regional instructor, training faculty, and also our training coordinator for Market Center 1, our division director for Market Center 1. He's also a productivity coach. Ladies and gentlemen, can you please welcome William Goh to take the floor. William, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, William, take us away.
All right. Wow, I really look bad on the video. Well, today I'm going to be looking like a DJ, but I'm not a DJ. I'm not going to play you any songs, but I'm trying to impact your life this morning by changing some of the way you do and approach your life. All right. So before we start, let me put in my slides. And congratulations to yourself for being here today and joining this training instead of watching Netflix. Well, put a pat on your back for being here in the first place. All right? So we're going to touch on 6 personal perspectives, but we're going to dwell on the beginning and the introduction first. But we want to make sure that this is effective for you and that it is not just sitting down and listening to a nice story and you feeling good about it, giving yourself a credit for sitting in the training instead of watching Netflix. We want to do more than that for you, all right? So the benefits of this session is to help you to achieve your goal, all right? To help you to achieve your goals in life as well as in business. And that you will have a business worth owning, a life worth living, and a legacy worth leaving. All right? So it is not just about your business, it is about you and your life. All right? So when you learn from these 6 personal perspectives, it can be applied to your life as well. You will see what we mean when we go on. All right? But again, we would like to emphasize, on the left-hand side of your screen, you can see Gary Keller says, most people going out to get an education are really into infotainment. Basically, what he's saying is people like to sit down in the training, in the classroom, and learn something new. All right, they feel good about that. They learn they have gained some new knowledge. They learn some new concepts. But at the end of the day, it is just an infotainment. Why? Because whatever they learn in the class or in the training session has not been applied and applied to their lives or applied to their business, and they have not practiced it. All right. So if the training doesn't make an impact into your life or into your business, that is because you have not applied it and you have not exercised it. Just like what we emphasize in our Ignite class, whatever you learn is practical for your business. Can be applied immediately. So you don't have to wait until you finish all the 12 lessons, feel good about all the knowledge that you have gained, and no impact to your business. But today, we want it to be an impactful experience for you to impact you and change your life. If it does not change your life totally, I hope it is a beginning of your journey to change your life. All right? So to make this learning effective for today, get yourself ready with pen and paper, of course. We're going to do some, we expect you to take some notes. I also want you to participate in the exercise. Now, we want you to be in active learning mode, all right? Active learning mode means you'll be engaging, you'll be, doing the exercise, replying to questions, and taking down notes as well, all right? So this is what we want you to do. Active learning gives you a 70% retention of what you learn. Passive learning, you can only remember 30% of what you have learned the moment you walk out of class. So we want you to be an active learner and participate and be engaging in the learning, all right? So don't just think that this is a good replacement of your Netflix, but it is an effective platform for you, an experience for you to start changing your life, okay? So what Gary Keller says is that what is that differentiates those who achieve at the highest level and those who don't seem to accomplish much? This is a question he asks. Why are some people able to achieve what they want to achieve and some are not able to accomplish what they set out to accomplish? What's the reason? So he did say that success is not only given to a chosen few, but to those few who decide to choose, right? Success is not given to a chosen few, but to those who choose, right? So it is up to you to choose whether you want to be successful or not, whether you want to be a good person, you want to be good in your business, you want to be a good person, a good family person, it's up to you to choose, all right? So from that interview, he has found that all top mega agents, now this is what I'm going to use this term, the term I'm going to use for top performance agent, which in Gary Keller in his Millionaire Real Estate Agent book and in his other books, he used this term mega agents. So in his interview of top mega agents, he has found that they have 3 common criteria that make them successful. One is mindset, the other one is attitude and approach to life, all right? So once your mindset is right, your attitude and approach to life comes along. But if your mindset is out, everything falls apart, okay? Now let me go further on that. So he went on to say, When you interview the very top people and ask them what their biggest challenge is, invariably, they will tell you it is mindset. Keeping it strong, focused, positive, or meet the many challenges they encounter every day and on the way to the top, right? So mindset is very important. And it is found in all mega agents, right? So why mindset is difficult to keep it positive and focused? One is because every day we have 2,000 negative thoughts. Not said by me, said by researchers who study the mind of people. And every day we have 2,000 negative thoughts in our mind. So it is very easy to fall into negativity and to fall into, or even depression if it goes worse, all right? So mindset is something that you need to guard off. And if everybody has a 2,000 negative thoughts every day, you can imagine those kind of people that do not keep their mind, watch their mind, and these people are around you. How would it affect your mindset? You can try one very simple experience. After MCO, if you go out for lunch with your group of friends or colleagues, intentionally start a conversation in a very negative way. Make negative comments. Talk about a negative story. And I can bet you, towards the end of that lunch session, everybody will join you in that negative talk. And they will enjoy talking about it. So it's very simple to get into negativity, but it's sometimes more difficult to get into positive mindset, all right? So I'm not talking about pop psychology here, that you must always be positive and looking forward and challenging yourself and go, yeah, 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 kind of thing. No, not necessarily so. We are not going into that, but it is to let you know that you need to guard your mind, all right? And guard or what goes into your mindset. Because once your mindset is right, your attitude and your approach to life will follow, all right? And he says, these are the challenges that we encounter every day on the way to the top, right? And so this is one of those things that you need to guard every day, because you will be around people who are negative, who are not guarding their mindset, all right? So he says, life is an inside to the outside experience, meaning to say that what is inside you, what is inside your mind, what is your mindset will be reflected in your outside experience, will be reflected in your actions, in your behavior, in the things that you want to do or don't want to do, right? So when you get down deep into this level, you realize that who you are inside determines and drives what you are outside. And so if you are a person who thinks that you are no good and you are not intelligent and you don't want to learn anything new, and this will be reflected on the outside. But for you today, by being here, is a reflection of what you are on the inside. You want to learn something. You want to improve yourself. And so that's a reflection of what is inside you, all right? So the very best achievers know this and therefore truly work on and protect their mindset. So it is very important that you protect your mindset from being influenced by a negative mindset, by being influenced by people around you and pull you down, and instead of moving forward and progressing and improving and achieving your goals, all right? And this is further enforced by Dr. Carol Dweck. She's the writer of the book Mindset. She says, for 30 years, my research has shown that the view you adopt for yourself profoundly affects the way you lead your life. It can determine whether you become the person you want to be and whether you become the person you value. So the view you adopt for yourself. What's your view you adopt for yourself? That's very important to your mindset. If you view yourself as someone not intelligent, someone who cannot learn something new, someone who cannot take new challenges, then it is going to reflect on your life. It is going to reflect on your behavior and your actions. So you need to guard your mindset, all right? And so in her book, Mindset, Dr. Carol also says there are two types of mindset. One is growth mindset. Growth mindset are people who love challenges all right, and engaging with failures and become better, all right? Meaning to say that these people thrive and getting into new challenges. When they have any failures, they don't see it as a failure, they see it as a fall down, all right? Just like when you learn a bicycle, when you're new to learning a bicycle, you will fall down. You fall down, you pick yourself up. Are you a failure? No, you just pick yourself up, you try again, and you fall down. And are you a failure? No, you just pick yourself up again, and you continue and continue. You are not a failure until you stop learning and until you give up. Then you are a failure. All right? So that's a growth mindset. The other mindset, she says, is the fixed mindset. People with a fixed mindset, they run away from failure. They avoid failure. So that's why they always avoid new challenges, doing new things, playing a new role. So that's the people with a fixed mindset. So are you a growth mindset person or are you a fixed mindset person? Where in her book, she says, your mindset sometimes can come from a few people. But of course, you can change your mindset from a fixed mindset to a growth mindset. And most of the time, our mindset are influenced by people around us. And she says, 3 types of people that will influence your mindset. Where do your mindset come from? 1, your parents. No, you're not going to blame them, but this is the way they will approach you to prepare you for life. But you can't blame them because they are not perfect. They could be influenced by their parents. And so if their parents are fixed mindset and your parents are a fixed mindset, most likely you will be the one that are with a fixed mindset. But you need to break that chain. If that fixed mindset chain is coming from your parents, right? You can break that chain. The second people that are going to influence your mindset will be your teachers. I'm sure you can think about the times where your teacher has some great influence in your mindset. And the way you approach to do things, the way you approach to learn things, they have some influence in you, all right? So the third people that can influence your mindset is your coach. So in KW, we practice a lot of, we have a structure of coaching programs, coaching sessions, right? So your coach can be the great influence on your mindset. And I'm sure your coach can influence you and change you from a fixed mindset to a growth mindset. So an individual's mindset holds the key to what they can accomplish, all right? So attitudes and beliefs, that is your personal perspective, determine your mindset. Attitudes and beliefs. Beliefs are the values, what is important to you. Attitudes are your approach to the situation, the feeling to that situation, to a task. So that's your attitude, all right? So attitudes and beliefs, which is called the personal perspective, will determine your mindset. That's why Gary Keller came up with these 6 personal perspectives to influence your attitudes and beliefs, which will set and determine your mindset. So you can reach the highest level of achievement in business and in life by adopting the most powerful perspective, all right? Talking about most powerful perspective, there's one person who has gone through a very almost life-changing experience. And from that, he got a very powerful perspective, right? But before we go to that, let's go through the 6 personal perspectives that Gary Keller has created that will help you to set you on the right mindset or even on a growth mindset. So step number one is to commit to self-mastery. All right. So what is committing to self-mastery? This is what you will say to yourself in committing to self-mastery. I'm going to nail it. I'm going to master it. Right. Step number 2 is committing to 80-20 principle. So what is that 80-20 principle? In that you will say to yourself, I'm going to focus on my big rocks. All right. So that's step number 2, committing to 80-20 principle. Step number 3 is move from E to P. That's where you say to yourself, I am purposeful about breaking through my ceiling of achievement. We will dwell more on that later on. I'm sure you will learn more from this, and that this will impact your life, I'm sure. All right, step number 4, make Make being learning based the foundation of your action plan. Right? Today, by you being here, you are already taking a step into being a learning base. Right? So what are you going to say to yourself? I am willing to be taught. I always pursue learning. All right? I'm willing to be taught and I always pursue learning. So learning is a lifetime process. It's a long life journey. It's a lifetime process. All right? And it is going to be by making this your perspective, learning based your perspective, you are making lifelong learning as your action plan. All right. So number 5 is remove your limiting belief. This is one of the perspective that we need to chew on and grind on, and so that you'll be able to tell yourself, I unlimit my thinking and my success. Most of the time, the obstacles to your success is not a physical obstacle. It's not what they call a skill-wise obstacle. Most of the time, it's a mental obstacle. So step number 5 is removing your limiting beliefs so that you will be able to tell yourself, I'm unlimited. I can unlimit my thinking and my success. And step number 6 is be accountable. Be accountable. And in that, this is what you say to yourself, it's mine and I own it. No one else can own it, only you. Who is responsible? You. Who is accountable to yourself? You. Right? And how to be accountable, to take that beyond one more step of accountability, we will dwell on that later on and when we come to it. Okay? So these are the 6 personal perspectives that Gary Keller has created to help us to set up our growth mindset, a positive mindset, to help us in the right mindset. All right? So step number 1, commit to self-mastery. Number 2 is commit to 80-20 principle. Number 3, move from E to P. And number 4, make being learning based the foundation of your action plan. And number 5, remove your limiting beliefs. And number 6, be accountable. Be accountable. All right. So let's move on, and we will see how a life-changing experience has developed a powerful perspective on this person called Rick Ellis. His experience in the miracle on the Hudson Flight 1549 and his powerful perspective after that. Let's watch the video. Sorry, I think I forgot to do something. I need to exit from the screen and then click the sound. Hold on, give me a minute. You can't find the button.
William, just now sound was okay, William.
Oh, because I couldn't hear it. Okay, let me double check. Stop my screen. Down again. Share sound. All right. Sorry about that.
So imagine a big explosion as you climb through 3,000 feet. Imagine a plane full of smoke. Imagine an engine going clack, 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 clack. Sounds scary. Well, I had a unique seat that day. I was sitting in 1D. I was the only one who could talk to the flight attendants. So I looked at them right away, and they said, no problem. We probably hit some birds. The pilot had already turned the plane around, and we weren't that far. You could see Manhattan. 2 minutes later, 3 things happen at the same time. The pilot lines up the plane with the Hudson River. It's usually not the route. He turns off the engines.
William, I think the thing is stuck.
Well, he did say he turned off the engine, so just hang on for a while.
William, are you there,
I think
William?
William's account.
Yeah, I think William is the one that
William's line is stuck. He did say turn off the engine, so it's not wrong. The engine is off right now. Let's give him a few minutes to kind of come back. I think probably sometimes when the line is bad and when Zoom detects that you're sending out too much packets out from your laptop or from your computer, they kind of adjust, and sometimes as the adjustment goes, it's hang. So he'll be back soon. There you go.
Okay,
So let's
so
wait for
he's
his
back.
engine to be back. There you go. It's a very interesting story because it talks about, this is the movie, I can't remember what's the name of the movie, but it's a movie that was acted by, what do you call it, Tom Hanks as the pilot. There you go. William, are you back?
I'm back. Let me share my screen again. Where did I stop?
Okay.
I'm going to start from the beginning.
The
I think
engine
you can
stopped.
start from but I think you can start from the beginning.
Okay. Because I couldn't hear the sound as well. All right, I start from the beginning.
All right.
All the fences I wanted to mend, all the experiences I wanted to have. And so imagine a big explosion as you climb through 3,000 feet. Imagine a plane full of smoke. Imagine an engine going clack, 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 clack. Sounds scary. Well, I had a unique seat that day. I was sitting in 1D. I was the only one who could talk to the flight attendants. So I looked at them right away, and they said, no problem. We probably hit some birds. The pilot had already turned the plane around, and we weren't that far. You could see Manhattan. 2 minutes later, 3 things happen at the same time. The pilot lines up the plane with the Hudson River. It's usually not the route. He turns off the engines. Now imagine being on a plane with no sound. And then he says 3 words, as unemotional 3 words as I've ever heard. He says, brace for impact. I didn't have to talk to the flight attendant anymore. I could see in her eyes, it was terror. Life was over. And I want to share with you 3 things I learned about myself that day. I learned that it all changes in an instant. We have this bucket list, we have these things we want to do in life, and I thought about all the people I wanted to reach out that I didn't, all the fences I wanted to mend, all the experiences I wanted to have and I never did. As I thought about that, later on I came up with a saying, which is, I collect bad wines. Because if the wine is ready and the person is there, I'm opening it. I no longer want to postpone anything in life. And that urgency, that purpose has really changed my life. The second thing I learned that day, and this is as we clear the George Washington Bridge, which was by not a lot, I thought about, wow, I really feel one real regret. I've lived a good life. In my own humanity and mistakes, I've tried to get better at everything I've tried. But in my humanity, I also allow my ego to get in. And I regretted the time I wasted in things that did not matter with people that matter. And I thought about my relationship with my wife, with my friends, with people. And after, as I reflected on that, I decided to eliminate negative energy from my life. It's not perfect. It's a lot better. I've not had a fight with my wife in 2 years. It feels great. I'm no longer trying to be right. I choose to be happy. The third thing I learned, and this is as your mental clock starts going 15, 14, 13, you can see the water coming. I'm saying, please blow up. Right? I don't want this thing to break in 20 pieces like you've seen in those documentaries. And as we're coming down, I had a sense of, wow, dying is not scary. It's almost like we've been preparing for it our whole lives. But it was very sad. I didn't want to go. I love my life. And that sadness really framed in one thought, which is, I only wish for one thing. I only wish I could see my kids grow up. About a month later, I was in a performance by my daughter, first grader, not much artistic talent yet. And I'm bawling, I'm crying like a little kid. And it made all the sense in the world to me. I realized at that point, by connecting those two dots, that the only thing that matters in my life is being a great dad. Above all, the only goal I have in life is to be a good dad. I was given the gift of a miracle of not dying that day. I was given another gift, which was to be able to see into the future and come back and live differently. I challenge you guys that are flying today. Imagine the same thing happens on your plane, and please don't. But imagine, and how would you change? What would you get done that you're waiting to get done because you think you'll be here forever? How would you change your relationships and the negative energy in them? And more than anything, are you being the best parent you can? Thank you.
All right, so that was the video that you just seen, and he's talking about his experience on the plane who was about to crash. And in that few moments, that changes his whole perspective of life. All right, so what have you learned from this video? What are your ahas from this video? If you can, if you are able to take out some notes, or maybe you can type something in the chat box that we can have a look at it. No more procrastination. Yeah, that's very good. Do the best you can. No more procrastination. Don't postpone anything. Hey, don't postpone your wine drinking. If you have nobody to drink wine with you, call me. I will come over. I always think I will live long. All right. So don't think that we will not be here forever, you know. Don't delay anything that you want to do. Yes. Very good. Very good observation. Just do it. All right. Be great and be joyful. Yes. Don't behave, Don't be right. Just be happy. That's right. Don't fight over all those small trivial matters. Don't sweat the small stuff. There's a book on that. Don't sweat the small stuff. If you are always the kind of people that sweat over trivial things, go get a book. I recommended it for my wife.
William, can I share something quickly?
Yeah.
I think that video was so relevant to us today because I think a lot of this occasion that happens that shift the way we think and to reevaluate our lives and all that, it's always moments where we didn't expect. Right? It's something like MCO, we never expect this MCO. I saw Neela sharing this now. She feels that the MCO is the one that's shaping the way she thinks right now. And I think a lot of times, one of the ahas I have in this season when I'm triggered by that video is how do I be a good parent for my son? And for those who are parents here, how many of you have kids here? If you have kids here, just type kids on the chat room. Okay, just type kids. There you go. You got 1 or 2 or whatever. I've got 1 kid and 2 dogs, so I'm a parent, right? One of the things that I think potentially could be a good thinking or thoughts for you right now is this an opportunity for you to leave an example of how are you living through a crisis? Because there will come a point in time, our kids grow up, they will be going through crisis as well. Right? And they will look to experiences they have based on role models to see in how their parents are handling crisis. So I think this is a good opportunity for us to think through what are the things that we need to do so that we are a role model for our kids when they grow up or when they go through certain crises in their life. They have something to reflect. Oh, my dad did that. Oh, my mom did that. Oh, yeah, that's what happened. And some of the conversation potentially you may have with even your grandkids. Hey, during this crisis, what did you do? How do you respond? How do you reinvent yourself? How do you change the perspective and stay strong? How do you live a bigger life in this season? How do you not get how do you not get into a depression? How do you not go into a point of negativity? What did you do? What was the environment like? So I think some of these questions, if you begin with any in mind, say, hey, 10 years later, I need to have conversation with my children or my grandchildren for that matter, I now have that experience and I'm living that life. So what you do today is critical to give you that opportunity and the ability to add value to their lives in the future of their crisis. And there'll be many more crises in different forms, right? So I just thought that would be a good thought for us to think through, not only about business, but about how we live our life and how we think and how we focus and how we become a role model for our kids. So I think that's something for us to think about.
All right, John. Back to the slides. Hey, let me see. Oh, okay. So we have got your aha moments. And so what is Rick Ellis' aha moments? He has shared it in the video. So let me summarize it for you. He says things that he wants to do and experience, people that he wants to reach out to and make fences and man the fences, he don't want to wait anymore. All right. So what he realized is that purpose and that urgency that has changed his life. He knows he's not going to be here around forever. So it's better that the things that are more important to him, people that are more important to him, he start reaching out to them. All right. And he decided to eliminate negative energy in his life, and he will not waste time with things that don't matter with people that matters. So he has said that he will not have bring up trivial issues. He will not have any negative energy around him. He will not argue with his wife over small matters. All right. So, and he says he just wants to be a good dad. So that is one thing that is very important to him. And and on top of everything else, he just wants to be a good dad. And he says he was given a gift of seeing into the future and coming back and live differently. So he was given that gift of not dying on that day, but a gift of seeing the future and allow him the opportunity to come back and live his life differently. That's his ahas from that experience. That experience has changed his perspective of life. All right. And so that has also changed his approach to life. So he says if he's got a wine and the right people is there, he's going to open it and drink it and not going to wait and keep. All right. So that's basically his approach to life. So for you, for the rest of this session, imagine you get that gift. You get this same gift of seeing yourself in the future, but given the opportunity to come back and live the life differently. How would you want to live this life differently? What would be your perspective on this? So Rick says, I no longer want to postpone anything in life. That urgency, that purpose has really changed my life, right? So you don't have to really experience the life-changing passenger in a flight, right? Kind of experience to really change your life. You can always see and learn from people who has gone through that, all right? So this is one thing that you can learn from people who has gone through that. So your challenge is, how would you change? What would you do that you are waiting to get done because you think you will be here forever? So that has to change your perspective of life. So let's do some exercise here, and I really seriously want you to do it. Take out a piece of pen and paper, write down what 3 things you would like to accomplish in your life. Just 3 things you would like to accomplish in your life. I will give you 2 minutes to do that. Quickly write it down and be serious about it. that three things could be something from your business, something for your family, or something for yourself. All right, thank you for taking that seriously. If you have not completed it, that doesn't matter. You can continue to do so. And these are the three things that you need to write down, because we will be coming back to these three things as we go down this session. All right, so write it down somewhere, keep it there for your reference later on. So let's do a reality check. What is your goal? We just asked you to write down 3 goals, right? So the question is, you need to ask yourself, how are you doing with your goal? How are you doing with your goal? To some, you may not have a goal. To some, the goal may just be there all this while, but you have not been pursuing it. And to some, the goal could be something else, but it was overtaken by other things. Probably the whirlwind has come in, some other more urgent things has come in, and you have forgo pursuing your goal. So how are you doing with your goal? Question number 3, how do you feel about that? You feel a sense of regret, a sense of neglect, a sense of anger, angry with yourself for not pursuing that goal? How do you feel about that? And number 4, what will your future look like if you do not achieve your goal? What will your future look like if you do not achieve your goal? Remember, this goal can be your personal goal, your business goal, your family goals, or whatever that you want to achieve for yourself, for your business, or for your family. All right? So if your children are all grown up, what is there for you to pursue? Is there something else that you can achieve? And how do you feel about it? All right, so these are questions that you need to check. These are all questions for your reality check. Do a reality check, and high achievers always have this reality check mindset. They always ask themselves, where are we now? Where are you now in terms of the goal? What are the proactive actions that you can take to reach your goal? Are you taking any actions at all in the first place? If you are, what kind of actions are you going to take to help you reach your goal? Are there gaps that you need to fill up, something that you need to do to fill that gap to help you achieve or bridge you over to your goal? And number 3, without that reality check, many people are under the delusion that they are nearer to their reality. And that's why when we teach our people, our negotiators and our rents and our cappers to do their business plan, we go down with figures and facts, right? We get down to the detail of monthly listings that you need to get, monthly appointments that you need to have, and to that kind of detail. So that is a reality check. So when it comes to facts and figures, you be very clear on where you are. Are you nearer to your goal, or are you further away from your goal, right? So that's a reality check. And all top mega agents do that check every month. So with a sound reality check, then they calibrate the tools and resources they need to achieve that goal. Maybe some of the things that they need to improve to reach that goal. They may lack of certain skills, lack of certain support, lack of certain resources to help them achieve their goal. And so they got to do something about it, improve it, tweak it, or change it. All right. So these are the reality checks used by high achievers on achieving their goals. Right. So what's your aha about this? Let's see. What have you learned so far this morning? So what have you learned so far this morning? Wow, human revolution. Earn more, steady, be healthy. All right. Clarity. Unlimiting your belief and your thinking. Mindset is important. All right, good. Don't wait. Have a goal. Yes, have a goal. Have an important goal. 3 success criteria. That criteria is mindset, attitude, and approach to life. Think right. Okay, guard your mindset. Approach to life. Get your mindset right. Stay positive and stay happy. Start with the right mindset. Okay. Change your perspective. Yes, yes. Must have positive mindset. All right. So it looks like you are learning and you are really active learners here this morning. That's very good. Let me move on to our next slide. So step number one is commit to self-mastery. All right. What is self-mastery? Self-mastery is a possession of great knowledge, skills, and habits that make you the master of you. All right. So if you want to master one of the perspective, this is one of the steps of building up your personal perspective that is commit to self-mastery. And to be able to reach your level of self-mastery, you must have knowledge, skills, and habits that can make you the master of yourself. So by you sitting here in this session, you are gaining knowledge, right? And you probably be learning some skills along the way. But you may not have the habits yet, all right? But you need to reach that level of habit to be able to reach a level of self-mastery. So skills need to be developed further until it becomes a habit. Then you can have a status of self-mastery. So when you commit to achieving your self-mastery, you must know your goals. So we done that. We went through that. Yeah, I believe that you have set out your goals just now, and you must know your strengths and weaknesses. Every one of us have some strengths and some weaknesses. I, for one, not a very people person. I'm a very task-oriented person. So when I was young, I'm really a very, very task-oriented person. And for me, task comes first. Important thing is you complete the task, and people can come later. And sometimes I just bulldoze others people, bypass other people, just to make sure that I accomplish my task. Then I found out from the book by John Maxwell, 21 Irrefutable Law of Leadership. There is one section he talked about being a leader is being a people person. So, and that is my weakest part. And what did I do? I learn from people who are good with people. So I observe them, I learn from them. And I've seen some my ex-colleagues who build such a good relationship with a client, and they go out shopping with a client. I was telling myself when I was young then, that, hey, why are you wasting time with a client going shopping? Well, knowing me, I'm a very task-oriented person and not a very people-oriented person. And so I know that is my weakness. And so I need to learn how to be more people-oriented. and people are surprised that if I start telling people now that I'm a very task-oriented and I'm not a very people-oriented person, people are very surprised. Why I say that I'm not a very people-oriented person, because I've overcome and take effort to overcome that weakness. And when I tell people that I'm a very introverted person, people are very surprised. And that is because I know from very young that because I'm introverted, so I lack of certain skills and certain dynamics, right? And so I got to learn how to be a bit more extroverted. And so I learned from people who are very extroverted, those with a high eyes and those with a good personality that goes well with people, and I learned it from them. And so you got to know what are your strengths and weaknesses. Some people are not very good with technology. And so that doesn't mean that you are no good, just that you are taking time and taking a bit longer to learn, to pick up compared to others who are good at it. But this is your mindset that you need to guard, all right? Self-mastery can be mastered. You can learn it. You can acquire the skills until it becomes a habit. And number 3, if you want to achieve self-mastery, you must know how to work with both your strengths and weaknesses to reach your goal, all right? So you got to know your strengths and weaknesses and use and work on those, both your strengths and your weaknesses. So let's watch this video about achieving self-mastery.
G'day, I'm Bruce Hardy, and I'm committing to self-mastery. You know, this is one of the main 6 perspectives that I think we all need to focus on, particularly if we want to take our business and our lives to the highest level. You know, when I was younger and lived in Australia, a good friend of mine was a black belt in karate. He invited me to participate in karate, so I joined. I was a white belt, and after about 6 weeks or so, we were one day practicing sparring. And it was interesting because we were throwing a punch, relatively simple, straightforward punch. We both knew how to do it. The idea was that you would throw the punch and you would stop 2 inches from the other person's face. So my friend, the black belt, would do it, and he would snap, his gi would snap, and I had wind hitting me in the face, and it was just beautiful the way he threw it. Then it was my turn, and I got down and I went whack, and I watched my friend fall to the floor because I hit him instead of stopping 2 inches in front of his face. We both knew how to do it. He'd mastered it, I had not. I will tell you, I brought the same approach to my real estate business. I realized my focus had to be on listings. And what I did was, by focusing on my listing presentation, practicing over and over.
All right, so committing to self-mastery is the possession of great knowledge, skills, and habits that make one the master of the subject. So from the video, you can see he's giving you an analogy of what is self-mastery is like, and what will happen if you have not reached the level of self-mastery and you exercise and execute your plan. Well, it can go wrong sometimes. Okay, and so here in the book outliner, Malcolm Gladwell says self-mastery is through a process, right? It's through a process and through a process of doing it repeatedly again and again and again. And he says to reach a level of self-mastery, you probably have to do it up to 10,000 hours. 10,000 hours. So don't think that your learning of a script is good enough after 10 times. Not good enough. That's why people complain that using the scripts makes them sound like a robot. Of course, because you only practice it 10 times. You need to practice it how many times? 30 times, 50 times. You need to role play it how many times? 20 times. Then only you'll be able to achieve your self-mastery, and you'll be able to be more natural in your conversation. All right? So that's what Malcolm Gladwell says. It's a journey, it's not an event. It's where you reach the tipping point, right? Once you reach the tipping point, everything comes to place. You become a master of it. You're beginning to get results, okay? So when you do your lead generation, of course, in the beginning, you will not get any results. You take a longer time to do it. You're not familiar with the scripts. You stumble here and there. But you need to go on and on and on until you reach the tipping point where you get leaps of results. All right. So you need to reach that tipping point to achieve your self-mastery. Practice is better than attending a class. So if you want to learn lead generation, you don't have to attend 10 classes, 20 classes. You only need to attend 1 class and practice 10 times, 20 times. You want to reach self-mastery? Practice, practice, practice. Practice is better than intelligence and better than talent. You ask the sports people, you read about Michael Jordan when he trained on his own. how many hours he does on his training to become self-mastery. And in sports, we call that drills. You know, how Lee Chong Wei becomes so good is not by just playing games, you know. It's not by attending class, you know. It's not by attending coaching sessions, you know. He needs to practice. Whatever he learned from the coach, whatever he learns from the class, he needs to go out there and practice. And what is his practice? Drills. How can he will learn to smash every time he comes into the training? He will do jump smashing 100 times. Every time he comes into the training, he will do drills on playing his backhand 100 times, playing at the net 100 times. That's how he improved, breaking it down, breaking into practices, breaking into drills, and doing it over and over and over again. All right? So don't become what I call, some people call it, seminar junkie. They like to go for seminars. Seminars after seminars after seminars, but you see no improvement in their performance, you see no improvement in their life. Why? Because they have not reached that self-mastery by doing the practices, by doing the drills, right? So practice is better than intelligence or talent.
Hey, William, can I add something here?
Go ahead.
I wanted to put a perspective in our business, and William focused a lot about lead generation and all that. But I think in our business, you got to go back there and start thinking, what is that area that if you improve tremendously, your business will never be the same again. Your business will change. So you've got to go back to your business and start thinking through what is that one thing. If you change this one thing's approach and you change the skill set of this one thing, it will never be the same again. So for example, in doing cold calling or in doing what do you call that, calls to your clients, what's that one thing that must change? Now, some of the coaching, I have a lot of privileges in my life, and one of the privileges I have is being able to coach production agents. And I remember one of the stories of one of the production agents that I was coaching him or her to go in there and struggle. What's the struggle in making that phone call? And perhaps the struggle is the fear of rejection, the fear of being scolded, the fear of being told off and all that. And that's very common. A lot of people that I coach have that same problem. And it's not their fault. It's because we have to find a way to approach this. And one of the things that I'm teaching people right now, if you have that fear, master the art of asking for permission to serve them. Now, if you have mastered that one conversation, ask yourself this question: would that tremendously change the results and the outcome of all that you do? Sometimes it's that small thing that you need to change. Sometimes it's that small little thing that when you change, it changes the outcome of your business. It's not the whole change. It's not a very drastic change, but it's the approach. I like it when Jonathan Craig always say, it is not what you do, is how you do it. So how you do it potentially requires certain level of self-mastery. And that's a good example. If all of us today go out there and practice scripts or practice the approach that I want to ask permission from you to serve you from a phone call, how would that change the outcome of that phone call? And eventually, how would that change the outcome of your business? So small steps like that in our business and put them perspective into self-mastery would change the outcome. Now, how many of you agree if you now change the skill set and you become your mastery in asking for permission to serve customer on the phone becomes so good, how many of you agree that it would change your business? If you agree, say yes, it will change your business, say yes. Absolutely. So you've got to go back and think through what would that be. Now, for me personally, one of the stories I'm going to quickly share with you right now. One of my challenge, one of the skill sets that I'm trying to self-master right now is in the area of coaching. Now, when I was in the, sorry, give me 3 minutes to talk about this. It's a really important story. When I was in a room with 100 leadership people with Gary Keller in Dallas, And you hear me talking about a lot of this because that 11 hours I spent with him that week in Dallas changed my perspective, changed my life, because I have a good role model to follow. And one question he asked us, how are you coaching your people? Are you tracking and are you focusing? Are you asking the right questions? So one of the things that I want to pursue in self-mastery is coaching people to be in the Keller Williams model. That's my number one thing. And I have already probably, in coaching, I've done many, many years, but coaching people to follow our system and models, I only have done 100 hours. Now, Gary Keller probably could claim he have done 20 to 30 hours, 30,000 hours. I met a MAPS leadership coach by the name of Matt Teeter. He told us that he has done 6,000 hours. He has clocked 6,000 hours in training people and coaching people to be in the system and models. And one of the things that Gary Keller said is this: unless you've got a long waiting list for coaching, because I'm coaching the same thing as you are coaching. There's no difference. We are going to talk about the economic model. We're going to talk about the lead generation model, budget model, technology. We're going to talk about organizational model and how you use. So all these things, we are all talking the same thing. The only difference between me and you guys here in this room is I've got a long waiting list, and you potentially have a shorter waiting list or no waiting list. Your job is to get to that waiting list. And what it takes to get to the waiting list is to keep doing this every single day in your life. Keep doing and doing and doing and doing until you're so good at it. So that's something that was inspired to get that waiting list and to get that opportunity to coach people who are of certain production to go do better. And that's my self-mastery journey right now. So I'm finding myself asking all of us here today, what's that self-mastery that you need to work on? And sometimes it just could be one thing, not many things. Just one thing. Think through, self-master one thing at a time, and figure out what is that one thing. If you self-master, everything else doesn't matter anymore. Tiger Woods, 3,000 balls, 300 balls in the driving range every day. Self-mastering his swing. So what's your self-mastery? Is it scripting? Is it talking on the phone? Is it presentation of the listing? Is it focusing on how you do your marketing? Whatever that is. And all of us are different. All of us are in different seasons of life. All of us have different things that we are doing. All of us are in different challenges. And that's why when we started this session, William is very clear that you need to know your strengths and your weaknesses. Maybe some of your strengths need to be self-mastered. Maybe some of your weaknesses need to be self-mastered. So you need to think through about it yourself and focus on one thing to self-master in this season, right? So yeah, I just want to leave that thought here for you guys to think through about your business very detailedly and very reflectively, so that you know what you need to self-master and focus on one thing at a time. Okay, back to you, William.
Okay, John, let's move back to my screen. And where am I? All right, got it. Okay, so self-mastery is a journey, it's not an event. It's where you reach your tipping point, if that's 10,000 hours. And one way to achieve your self-mastery is practice, 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 and drills, right? So lastly, it's what we call a repetitive practice. And what Gary Keller says is time on task over time. It means you work on that task over time. That means doing it again and again and again and again, where practice makes perfect. That's where you will be able to achieve your self-mastery. All right. So let me give you an example of how you want to achieve your self-mastery. One, you have to know your goals. So let me give you an example, like you want to master prospecting. All right, so that can be your goal. But you have to know and identify your strength. So what are your strengths? Your strength could be good with people. All right, so that goes well with mastering prospecting, right? And what are your weaknesses? Your weakness could be uncomfortable bringing up business. All right, so maybe you are good with people. You can have a good conversation with people and have a very engaging conversation with people. but you are not comfortable bringing up business, asking for the business or asking for referral. So that could be your weakness. So there's a gap there for you to become master of prospecting. So how do you then overcome that? Maybe you need to have a plan. Definitely you need to have a plan to do something about it. And one of the things is practice scripts, right? So in Ignite or in our own KW training, we have scripts for you to practice. We encourage you to practice it, memorize it, and then do role play, all right? So that's practice scripts. And take coaching, all right? Take coaching. And of course, to help you bridge the gap, start with people within your sphere of influence, all right? Talk to these people that you know of, your people who knows you, met you before, and comfortable doing business with you, and talk to them about, and bring this up about the business, right? Bringing up, talking about the business, talking about real estate, okay? So this is one way for you to achieve your self-mastery. So that means to say you need to have a plan. And sometimes a plan may not be enough. It just could be 90% or 95% of it. To help you to finish and bridge that last mile, coaching could be one of those steps that you can take to close that small gap, all right? So we've gone through the ahas. You have given very good ahas. Let's move on to the step number 2. We're running out of time already. Commit to 80-20, all right? What's 80-20? So 80-20 is a pattern of predictable imbalance in life, and it is called 80-20. How this 80-20 come about is, at the beginning, it was called a Pareto principle, all right? By this guy who's an economist. He was studying this wealth distribution in his own country, and his name is Alfredo Pareto. So in his study, he found out that 20% of the population owns 80% of the wealth in his country. So that's how he came out with 80-20 principle. And this theory was taken even further by a quality manager who, by the name of Joseph Turan, who took this principle out and applied it into the study of quality management. And he says 20% of the effort that you put in will bring in 80% of the results. So meaning that you need to concentrate on those tasks or those work that you need to do on that 20% that will bring you 80% of the results. So don't do, some people say, do everything now, whatever that you need to do. Hey, I'm an entrepreneur. I need to do whatever that I need to do to bring in the business. So I need to do a lot of things, but that may be counterproductive. So what an 80-20 principle is that to teach you to focus on that, just that 20% that will bring you 80% of the results in your business or even in your life, all right? So as we go down further, we will see that and practice that. So this is a video of Mike Madison. He's talking about 80-20 principle. Let's watch the video.
Hi, I'm Madison Offenhauser, and I am committed to the 80-20 principle. I can say that honestly, I'm committed to it now. I wasn't always. I remember back when I was a team leader, and I was going to also become an OP. Back then, I think I was a really expert list maker. And I thought I was good at prioritizing what was on that list, but I felt so incredibly torn trying to get all the things done in a day that were important to get done. The big rocks were mixed in with the small things, and I just found that wasn't really working, to the point that I was about to give up my OP role. And I started to interview people through the RS process to replace myself. And in the process of that, oddly enough, just like before we go on vacation, I got my house in order, so to speak. I identified the big rocks that I really needed to get done. And in the process of doing that, I found that I was organizing myself really to the 80-20 principle. So once I realized that, I thought, you know what? I think I can actually continue to do both of these roles. And truly, it was the 80-20 principle. I started focusing on my big rocks first. Instead of having a big list where my big rocks were mixed in, I do them first now. Those are definitely done because obviously if I'm focusing on my 20%, my big rocks, 80% of the results are going to come from those 20. It has been life-changing for me. And my results are much greater. The other part of it is I found I became so much more time efficient that I actually am capable of handling more roles and accomplishing more things than I ever thought was possible before. And it's all because of the 80-20 principle. I truly am committed to it. Are you committed to the 80-20 principle?
All right. So he's talking about what you call focusing on the 20%, and how he do it is he do out a to-do list, and then he shortlists out what are the things that is important, and he focus on that, doing that 20%, so that he will be able to achieve that 80% of the results. And most of the mega agents are not only negotiators or agents themselves, they also have a team, and they need to run what they call run a team and run the business themselves. So they have they may play multiple roles, and the more so they have to practice this 80-20 principle. All right. So let me do a story here about one professor. One day came into class in front of the students. He brought out a jar, an empty jar. So he put a jar on the table, and then he took out some rocks, and he put the rocks into the jar. After he has put rocks into the jar and filled it up, he asked the students, "Is this jar full?" The students said, "Yes." Then he took out some pebbles. He shook the jar a bit and put in all the pebbles until it's full. Then he asked the students, "Is this jar full?" Of course, the students will say yes. Then he took out some sand. He shook the jar a bit and he poured all the sand in. Then he asked the student, "Is this jar full?" Should be lah. Then he brought out water, a bottle of water, and poured into the jar and filled it up. And finally he said, "Well, now the jar is full. And this is how it looks like." Then he took out another jar, which is empty. He did the same thing again, but this time on the reverse. He put in the water first, then he put in the sand, then he put in the pebbles, then he put in the rocks. In the end, this is how it looks like. He put in the rocks last, but the rocks, not all the rocks can go into the jar in this reverse order. So what's the lesson behind? He says this jar represents our life capacity. All right? All the other things are important stuff in life. The big rock represents the most important stuff in your life. So if you want to have the capacity to do all the important things in your life, you need to put in the most important thing into your life first. You need to do the most important stuff first, and that is the big rock. So if you put the big rock in it first, then you will have some capacity for the pebbles, and then for the sand, and for the water. Excuse me. But if you do it on the reverse, you put in the water first, the sand, then the pebbles and the rocks, then what will happen is you are not able to put in all the big rocks into the jar. That means to say that you will not be able to finish and complete all the most important tasks of your life. So that's the principle about 80-20. This is called put in the big rock first. So in KW, in our training, I don't know if you hear people talking about the big rock, your big rocks. What is your big rock? Put in your big rock first. Complete your big rock first. Complete the most important task of your life first. Complete the most important task in your day first. All right? So you need to complete the most important task of your day so that you have capacity to do all the smaller and less important stuff later on. All right? And so that's called committing to 80-20, where 20% of your effort will bring in 80% of your results. So you got to find and identify that 20% that will bring you the 80% of the results. So identify, then go on even smaller by finding the vital few of the few, all right? And this is what you call extreme to the Pareto. And Gary Keller says you need to even go further to that, deeper into that 20%. So earlier we were talking about identify a 20%. Now Gary Keller says from that 20%, identify the 20%. And then, so he came out with this book called One Thing. And he wrote this book to tell people that there is only one thing that is more important in your life. And what is that? And this one thing should be the thing that by doing this, everything else will be simple or easy or may not be necessary. So by doing one thing, you are like creating a domino. You just do one thing and the rest will fall into place. Example, what we teach in KW is that you only need to do lead generation, and that is your one thing. Because by doing that one thing, your listings will come in, you will get your sales done, then your marketing will fall into place, your negotiation will fall into place, and then your closing deals and your income and your profit will come and fall into place. So that is that one thing that you need to do, lead generation. Of course, we are very concerned about our negotiation. We're trying to close the deal. So we work very hard, we follow up very closely and make sure that the deal is closed. And especially in this market shift, we want to make sure everything is closed, done properly. All the documents are correct. The details are there, bulletproof, your closing. Yes, we want to do all that. But those things will come and fall naturally if you do that one thing well. And what is that one thing? Lead generation. So if you do your lead generation, that one thing that you need to do, the rest will fall into place. Your listings will come in. Your marketing will fall into place. Your closing and your negotiation will just fall into place. So that's one thing. So in life, it's the same thing. There are many things that we want to do to achieve our goals, to do something for the family, to do something for ourselves. There are so many things to do, but what is that one thing that you can do so that by doing that only one thing, all the others will seem very easy. All the others will just fall into place. All the others may seem, some may even seem unnecessary. All right? So that's that one thing. So that is, this one thing is even drilled down into that 80-20 principle. The book is available. You can go and get a book. You can also order from KW Malaysia. All right. Maybe later on they do some, give you some information on that. And what are the exercises that you can do to help you identify that 80-20 principle? To identify that 20% of the things that you need to do. Okay. So we always like to do to-do lists. To-do list is good. You work on to-do list. Hey, if you have no plan, you start with a to-do list, it's still better than nothing. But the problem with to-do list is that it is all over the place. It comes from everywhere and it goes to everywhere because it's not very focused. And you may do things that are not really directly related to your goal. Or you may do things that doesn't really bring you the fast and immediate results or immediate impact into your achieving of your goals. So instead of doing a to-do list, do a success list. So what you do then, you start by listing down things that you need to do, you want to do, and to-do lists in achieving your goal. From there, you identify the most important 20% of it and pull it out and do another list. You extract it from there, do another list, and that will be your 20% of the important stuff that you need to do to achieve your goal. And from there, identify one thing that you can do so that by doing that, all the others will be unnecessary or will be easy. All the others will just fall into place. And that's how you do your one thing. Okay? So let's do some exercise in the extreme Pareto, right? Just now we have asked you to set your goals, right? We asked you to set 3 goals. And now list down as many things as you can that you are going to do or could be doing to make it a reality. to make your goal a reality. So again, this is basically a to-do list. Then step number 3, create a success list by circling only the tasks that you are going to have the most impact on your goal. Only those big rocks. Identify the big rocks. And then you go one step further and identify from the big rocks, identify that one thing. So that by doing it, everything else is easier or unnecessary. So we will not do this exercise here in this session, but I expect you to go back to do this exercise. If you want this session to be impactful to your life, to be meaningful, let's go back and do this exercise. Okay, with that, you all agree? So step number 1, list down your to-do list. Step number 2, create a success list by identifying the big rocks. And step number 3, identify that one thing. So that by doing that one thing, everything else is easier or unnecessary. So immediately after this session, don't go for lunch, finish this list. The other thing that we want you to be more focused in this 80-20 is by doing a 4-1-1. All right. So in short, what is 4-1-1? Number 1 is set weekly goals that correspond with your larger monthly goals. So we will have a yearly goal, and then from the yearly goal, we set it down to a weekly goal. And number 2, set a monthly goal that corresponds to your larger annual goal. And number 3, make sure weekly goals are a success list, not a to-do list. All right. Success lists are more focused, are more drilled down, are more directly related to achieving your goal. Right? And that will contribute directly to achieving your goal. Step number 4, plan your weekly goals or weekly activities no more than 1 week in advance. So what I and to allow for a change in direction if needed. So what I normally do is at the end of the week, I start planning for next week. And when I do that, when I've done that, I put it into the calendar. Right? So do that every week and plan out for your next week. Then in that way, you'll be more focused. You do the big rocks first and small stuff later on. Step number 5, set annual goals that can realistically be accomplished in 12 months time, right? In 12 months period. So if you are setting your goal, your yearly goal now, we are already in April. So instead of setting it for 12 months in a calendar year, you have to plan it out for 8 months in a calendar year. But if you don't want it to be on a calendar year, you can always plan 12 months. That is from May this year until April next year. That can also be done. All right. Number 6, avoid revising goals set in prior weeks or months to reflect new goals or dismiss goals. All right. So when you don't revise your goals when you set your weekly or your monthly goals. All right. It means you don't revise your yearly goal. You just maintain the goal, but you change the way you do it. So if you have missed it, if you have missed the goals, you bring forward and try to cover it back the following week. But sometimes let's say if you target to make 100 calls a week, but you only manage to make 80 calls. So that 20 calls that you have missed out will be brought forward to the next week. So you can try to complete all the outstanding of 20 calls next week, or you can do it over 2 weeks or 3 weeks, right? So these are examples that you can do in your 4-1-1. Hey, by the way, talking about 4-1-1, we will be having 4-1-1 training. When is it, John? Let's pause for some advertisements.
For 4-1-1 training would be with KW International on Thursday, tomorrow night.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That one is not to be missed.
So it'll be tomorrow night, and so if you have not registered for it, go for it. Sign up for it, and learn more about 4-1-1. Okay, so since we are going to cover 4-1-1 tomorrow night by a very qualified coach, I'm not going to dwell anymore on it. These are just an sample of what the 4-1-1 looks like. All right. So another way to achieve your 80-20 principle is by time blocking. Time block your 80-20 principle. The truth is, people think there is never enough time to be successful, but there is when you time block, right? What are your big rocks? What is one thing that you need to do, that you need to do it successfully and consistently and on a daily basis? How can you make sure that you can achieve it, that you get it done? So the skill we are teaching you now here is time blocking, right? Time blocking. In other words, you are more purposeful, more intentional, more focused by doing time block to achieve and do your big rocks. So don't leave it to say that, okay lah, let me make a few calls first, reply a few emails, then I come to it, and when I have time, I do more. If no time, maybe tomorrow lah, okay, can. That's not time blocking. That's not being very focused. That's not being putting in your big rocks first, right? So in time block, it can be used for your business. It can be used for your personal aspects of your life. One very good example is if you are looking to have a regular exercise, use this skill, time block. I have many friends who say they want to be regular in exercising. I want to do 3 times of exercise a week, but never got off. Maybe you start off with 1 or 2 times a week and then you die off. Why? Because they are only doing it as and when they have the time. So if you think exercise is important, it is your big rock, then you need to time block. All right? You need to time block. So this is a very good skill to use to help you achieve your big rocks. All right? So the 4 keys to successful time blocking: 1, be consistent. Be consistent enough to set the habit. Of course, in the beginning, it will be very difficult because you are talking about changing habits. Changing habits never come easy because you have to, it affects your mental mindset, it affects your emotions, it affects you and your body, it affects the schedules that you have, it affects your comfort zone. Changing habits is never easy. And so to be able to be successful, you need to time block and be consistent with it. All right. Number 2, be thoughtful and purposeful about the items you list on your calendar. So in other words, translate it into your calendar. In other words, whatever that is need to be done, what is that one thing, that big rock, it has to be shown in your calendar. If it is lead generation, it has to be shown in your calendar. If it is exercise, it has to be shown in your calendar. So that big rocks has to be reflected in your calendar, all right? Not on your to-do list, but in your calendar. Number 3, always time block for the big rocks, your 20% that ensures your success and the success of your business. So what are the big rocks? Has to be reflected in your calendar. If it's not in your calendar, it means you are not taking it as a big rock and it's not important to you. Then again, you are being delusional about achieving your goal. All right. So what about time blocking? Number 4, if you erase it, you must replace it. All right. Because you need to clock in that amount of hours to reach self-mastery. If it is a practice, if it is a drill, you need to clock in that amount of hours to be able to achieve self-mastery. So if you miss that 1 hour or 2 hours, you got to replace it. If not, then everything, your achievements of your goals will be delayed by a few more hours or even by years, by months and years sometimes, right? So replacing your time block. And how to do time block effectively? Time block on a typical day looks like, what time block on a typical day looks like for you to achieve your goals? And for mega agents, it's always reflected in their calendar. And the time blocking is always in the morning. Do the most important stuff first, to put in the big rock first, so that you have capacity for other things. So in the morning, you're being purposeful, you're being intentional, and you are doing your big rocks. And the rest of the days in the afternoon, you will do the other stuff. you'll be more entrepreneurial. All right. So that's how time blocking should be like in your calendar, and that's how it should be reflected in your week. So protect your time block. The world doesn't know your purpose and your priorities and isn't responsible for them. Who is responsible? You are. So if you're time blocking, who the world cares? If you're time blocking, who the world knows? All right. But they have to know, because they will be coming to disturb you and interfere with you, or disrupt your plan. All right. So how to do that? Number one, build a bunker. In other words, if you are doing a lead generation, put up a sign. I'm doing lead generation. Don't disturb me. All right. That's how you put up a bunker. Or you close the door. Put a sign there. Lead generation. Do not disturb. All right. That's how you build a bunker, because the world doesn't know that you are doing lead generation. The world doesn't know that you're time blocking. The world doesn't know that you are doing your big rocks, your important stuff. Number two, store provisions, right? So if your time block is on 2 hours or 3 hours, make sure that you do not allow anything else to disrupt you or disturb the momentum. Store provisions means if you need a drink, if you're a coffee person, you need a coffee. If you're a snack person, you need some snacks. Make sure that all these stuff are around you during that 2 to 3 hours of time blocking. So make sure so that you don't find an excuse to go out, go to the coffee machine, make your coffee, and then your colleague come along. Hey, how are you? Good morning. Hey, how are they? Blah, blah, blah. And chit chat, and you got carried away. And next thing you know it, you spend 30 minutes at the coffee machine. So you don't want that to happen to you. So that's why you store whatever that you need in your time block, your coffee, your snacks, or whatever. All right. Of course, you can go to the toilet. Make sure you come back very, very quickly. Number three, sweep for minds. All right. So when you are doing your time blocking, do not allow anything that will blow up and disrupt your momentum. Things like notifications, email notifications, WhatsApp notifications, sound notifications, shut them all off. All right. So that's what you mean by sweeping for minds. And make sure that your telephone doesn't ring, and make sure all the people around you knows that this is your time blocking. Don't call you, don't disturb you. All right. And so this is what I've done. I told all my people in the morning, 8 to 11, is my time block. So I will not have any meetings during this time. From 11 to 1 is my coaching session. That's the time where I do my coaching. So I leave the other things later after my big rocks. So other meetings with the MCAs and with my other colleagues and other leaders will come in the afternoon after 12, at 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock. So that's how you build your bunkers and make sure that no one disturbs you. All right. Lastly, enlist support. Right. If you need support, you need a coach to support you, get the support. If you need your MCS to support you, get the MCS to support you. If you need your colleagues to support you, get them to support you. All right. No man is an island. So what are your ahas you've learned from here this morning about 80-20 principle? Let's see what you have. Put it in the chat box.
Discipline.
Yep.
Build the big rocks. Identify my big rocks. I like that. Make a success list. Awesome. Set timetable. Change my thoughts. Awesome. Well, William, looks like everyone is thinking about their big rocks right now.
Very good.
That's a good sign. That's a very, very good sign. Overcoming fears. William, is your slides all done already?
I think I have 2 more.
Okay.
Let me go through that first.
Well,
Time to you.
awesome. A lot of big rocks, guys. Well done. At least you got that big thing in your head ready to go. Fantastic.
So to summarize it, we are only doing 2 steps today. that is committing to self-mastery and committing to 80-20 principle. And we still have step number 3, move from E to P. Step number 4, being learning-based, the foundation of your action plan. Step number 5, remove your limiting beliefs. And step number 6, be accountable. All right. So this is what you tell yourself: I'm going to nail it. I'm going to master it, and I'm going to focus on my big rocks. Right. Looks like some of you have learned something today. Big rocks. Right. The rest we will cover it later on in other sessions. Back to you, John.
A few good questions there. If the virtual support could support me by bringing up those questions, because I saw there's 2 or 3 very good questions that we missed out earlier. I believe there's one by Michelle, and there's one here by CC. I'm going to just talk about CC's questions first, and then maybe the virtual support can help me get that question. CC, your question is, normally in daily tasks, we tend to procrastinate by doing easy tasks of the plan. Thank you very much for doing that. And we tend to avoid the most painful tasks. CC, so it's very critical, important for us to set a GPS. That's why the GPS for our business, it is so critical. If we don't set a GPS in place, then we do not know what is important. So for example, a GPS is 1 goal and 3 priorities. So I always ask the agents right now, it is almost impossible to multitask. Multitasking, it is a myth. Multitasking will not help us to do better in what we do. It is focusing on the big rocks, focusing on that one thing that needs to happen so that everything else will fall into place. So I think it's important for us to focus in our business. And as you see, I'm assuming you're talking about business, right? If you're talking about business, please say yes. Yes, okay. Focus about, now if whatever you have learned today, if hopefully this coaching session in this next 5 minutes will help you in your business, focus on that number 1 priority that will change the result in your business right now. So it could be lead generation, it could be focusing on how to manage listings, how to have a systematic way to manage quality listings. It could be whatever that is. Focus on that one thing first. Now, whatever else that comes in, if it's not in your that priority is not in that 5 strategies that will help you hit that priority, don't do it. I'll give you an example right now. In this season, there's so many people calling me, asking me to join venture, to do this business, to do that. There's a lot of what do you call that? People asking, should I take on this technology? Should we do this and all that? My question is always, how is this helping us to achieve our goal? If this is not helping us achieve our goal, why are we doing it? So my coaching to you right now is to ask yourself this question. In so many things that you're doing, which are the ones that is going to be directly helping you to achieve your goal in your business? Now, that is only if your goal is very clear. And your formula to achieve your goal is also very clear. Once that is clarity there, the priority becomes very straightforward. It's either the 3 things, and that one thing, whatever that is, will be identified. So my suggestion is to work on your GPS. If you're not clear what's the GPS, can some of the some of our virtual support, can you just punch in a GPS link here? Maybe a sheet, if you have that GPS, what do you call that, worksheet? Can someone just share it out in that? Is there a way we can share it in the chat box? If not, CC, just get in touch with one of our there you go, Charles, there you go, that worksheet, that's the GPS worksheet. Thank you, Yuan. Work on that. That will help you to focus on what is necessary. This is when there will be certain things that is very painful that you know is necessary. Okay, so I hope that helped you, GCC. Michelle, the question is, can you please explain on identifying our weakness and dealing with our discomfort? Now, I want to be very clear here. Can I have the screen back on me, please? We can take away that question. Can I have the screen back on me, please? Thank you for doing this. Screen, yes. Can you guys hear me? Yeah. William, you want to say something? Okay, good. You want to say something, William?
Yeah, I want to address that term that she used, pain and hardest to do. Yeah, that's a very natural thing. When we want to do something new, something different, it is very painful in that sense. I know what you mean. Actually, that means emotionally painful, mentally painful, because it's very difficult. And when you're doing something new, you're moving out of your comfort zone. So out of your comfort zone means a struggle in there itself, by itself. A very simple example is, why are people finding it very difficult to have a regular exercise, to have a good regimen of exercise in their timetable? That is because they find it even harder to start and be consistent. Why? Because it involves a lot of things. It involves their mental part of it, their physical part of it, their emotional part of it, and they are moving out of their comfort zone. Now, Dr. Carroll has said, in a fixed mindset, those people with a fixed mindset find it very difficult to try new things because they are afraid of making mistakes. They are afraid of trying new things that will expose their weaknesses, and that's why they don't want to try new things. Move out from that fixed mindset into a growth mindset where you got to view failure differently. When you do something new, definitely there will be some mistakes. You will fall, like learning a bicycle. Doesn't matter, it's fine. Start with small steps and learn it from people and start with start with consistency. All right, you have to be consistent to be able to pick up that momentum to make that breakthrough. Once you break through, you achieve your small goals, your sub goals, you will be able to pick up that momentum and go on and achieve bigger things and do the things that you want to do, the new things that you want to do. Back to you, John. John, back to you. Oh, I think John has lost his connection. So that's how it is about doing that. Yeah, you're back. Okay, back to you.
Back. Yeah, thank you. I think Michelle's question is, my one to be very clear here. It's do not go and work on your weaknesses. There is a reason why it's a weakness, because that is not your strength, right? So, but do not go and fix all your weaknesses. Find out what weaknesses is necessary to work on, because that's a big rock to you, then you work on it. If it's not a big rock to you, don't go work on it. Give you an example. How many of you struggle with calling a stranger from a phone for the first time? How many of you struggle? If you struggle, say yes. Then you say me. Okay. Now, that's an important weakness to work on, because if you don't have a skill set or the mindset to pick up the phone and speak to people, either you outsource it if you can afford it. Now, if you cannot afford it, you have to do it yourself, right? Am I right? So that's when you need to work on those weaknesses. That's very painful. And that's where coaching comes in. And some of my coaches, I always ask them, what is it in that particular weakness, or in that particular, like for example, let's just say cold calling is a weakness. What is it that you feel about cold calling that is not helping you? What is it? Or what is it that's making you fear cold calling? What is it that is making you dislike it? What is making you uncomfortable? What's the discomfort? What's the emotion going on? I go very deep. And a lot of times, some of them could be traumatic experience where people scold me on the phone before. I don't want to experience that before. So what is that change? And I coach those people to say, why don't you consider asking them permission to serve them? That's an example of working on weaknesses that will probably give you a lot of discomfort, but you know that is necessary. If you have done this, if you have mastered that, your business will change. So only work on businesses that is likely a big rock to you in your business, right? So for example, my weakness is I am the most unfashionable person, I think, in my company. I do not know what's fashion. I could wear green pants and red shirt. I'm like that. So my fashion designer is my wife. But is that necessary for me to go for a lesson and class to learn how to do what I need to do? No. Do I need to go for a hairstylist fashion course to work on my weaknesses? Absolutely not. It doesn't really matter what hairstyle, what shirt I wear. It matters how I speak and what I know, right? Then that will add value to you, right? Am I right? Those who think that by changing my outlook appearance, will help you to do better in your business, please say 1. Those who think that it doesn't help at all, press 2. Do it right now. Tell me which is important, 1 or 2. 1. Well, if I change, it will help you. 2. Exactly. So there are certain weaknesses that would not be necessary for you to work on. Some say 1.5. Thank you. You're very helpful. You're very helpful to say that. No, thank you very much for your helpful. Thank you very much for your affirmation. Okay, thank you. But really, you need to be very purposeful about handling weaknesses, because it is sometimes a waste of time if it's not important for you to work on. Focus on things that's important to work on. Okay. I hope I answered Michelle's questions. Is there any other questions that we can answer? Virtual support, did I miss out any questions? Because I cannot see my pass right now.
No more questions.
How we carry ourselves also can also boost confidence. Absolutely, absolutely. But I'm just saying that at least my fashion not so bad lah. But I'm just saying that that's my weakness. Grooming is very important. Yes, Charlie, I know you dress very well. Absolutely. That's why I leverage on my fashion designer at home. Yeah. Anything else? Anyone else got any questions to ask both me and William? We are here for you right now. Yes, everything is important, but if you have a choice, choose one to work on. That will be more. Absolutely, languages is important. Absolutely.
John.
Yes, go ahead.
Not everything is important. In the book, One Thing, Gary Keller says the 50, instead of, some people rather go on the 50-50 principle instead of the 80-20 principle. And he says the 50-50 principle is a fallacy. It's not true. It is not effective. Because people think that, oh, I'm an entrepreneur. There are a lot of things that I need to do. So I need to return all the calls, attend to all the customers, whether they bring in the money or not, whether they are effective or not, whether they are contributing to my 80% or not. So at the end, you will not be very focused, and you will be what I call trying to achieve that 50-50 principle instead of 80-20 principle, which is not very effective.
Yeah.
Right? So don't so kiasu and think that you have to do everything.
Correct. Absolutely. That's a very good question here about language. So Jessica, if your market right now requires you to be very fluent in Mandarin, then go learn it. If your market does not require you to do that, it is not a priority. Maybe you could look at it some other time, but look at other things that's more important right now. So it all depends on the market. So for example, if you are now going into the China market, and China market, the Chinese buyers from China, mainland China is your number one source of income, then yes, absolutely work on languages. But that's not a priority if it's not. So it depends on your market. There you go. It depends on the market. Shireen, I'm not sure what you mean by how to say no to clients, but I will come back to that once you can clarify for us. Jacqueline got a very good question. Last time I got irritated of agents who kept calling me for my own house that I scolded them. So now I have phobia already that owner will be irritated too. How to overcome this? Again, go into the mindset and tell yourself, I am not going to irritate someone. I'm going to ask permission to serve them. And you have to understand that you are an agent and you are not an owner, but basically because of your own owner experience with them, that potentially has kind of give you some fears. Now you're going to accept that this is real, the fear is real, but now focus on why you are doing this. Focus on what is the best way that when I do this, the owner will not get irritated. Focus, the big rock is how can I do this in a way, the right way that the owners will not be irritated, but the owners would be motivated to connect and communicate with me. So focus on, and one of the best things is, can I ask permission to serve you? Can I have permission for your time right now to serve you, to add value to you? So these are some of the things that we all could think about how we do it. And Jacqueline, I hope you would take this tip and quickly try. For those who have fear of speaking to a stranger, can you please do a conversation example, please? Shamila, is a stranger meaning stranger that is an owner or a buyer, or what is a stranger? Can you just give me an example? Owner. Okay, awesome. William, would you role play with me?
Yeah.
William, you are the owner, I'm the agent.
Okay.
Okay. Hi, William. Good morning. My name is Jonathan from Redfield. I was given your name by a referral of a Dr. Tan who has just referred you to me, stating that you may need my services. Can I have your permission of 10 minutes to just have a quick conversation to see if there is opportunity for me to serve you right now?
Oh, Dr. Tan. Yeah, I know him. Yes, he know that I'm looking for some properties. I think
Okay, pause.
due to
Pause
me.
there. Pause there. There's a natural response by William. William didn't think about responding. He naturally responded. Now, why did he naturally respond? Because I put an example that is a referral. Now let's do an example that is without a referral. Okay, William, let's start again.
Yeah.
Hi, William.
Yes.
My name is Jonathan, and my call is because I'm here to seek permission from you to see if I have any opportunity or we have any opportunity to connect to see how I can add value to your real estate needs. Now, I know that during this season of MCO, there's a lot of uncertainty, there's a lot of things that's happening that you are not very clear. Maybe I could be a resource for you to support you in making certain decisions about your real estate needs. Do you mind spending 10-15 minutes with me right now?
Yeah, I'm actually quite in the market now. Things are uncertain. I need to talk to someone. I need to talk to some agents to get some information on some clarity on about the market.
Okay, thank you. Pause there right now. Now, there are two examples I just did. One with a referral. That's why referral, which is more easier, referral or without referral? Anyone? Referral, absolutely. So if you go and ask for referral, that'd be fantastic. Without referral, it's not difficult as well. It's just us asking for permission to serve him, right? Can someone mute Lynn's mic, please? I think that's she forgot to unmute her mic. Thank you. So that's where the potential of us focusing on the big rock of how do we pick up the phone and have a good conversation is critical. And that goes back to Michelle's question. What if that's something uncomfortable? What if you can overcome it in the next 30 days or 60 days, you would become a formidable person in running a cold call session or a session to speak to someone, right? Does that help you, Shamila? Is that working for you? Right. Yes, Shirin, because Shirin, yes, we are always focused on fighting fire. And that's a natural part of us. We are always focused on fighting fire. The goal is to put the fire aside. If the fire burns, with the burning of the fire more important or achieving our goal more important? Right? So I would argue that achieving our goal is more important, because if I cannot achieve my goal, I cannot be good at fighting fires with my client. So focus on prioritizing right now, right? I realize you encourage us to pick up the phone to call and not via SMS and WhatsApp blast to lead gen. What about the other way around? Can you explain to me, Jessica, what do you mean? What's the other way around? Are you saying that what if we are doing SMS and WhatsApp? How do we do this? Is that what you're trying to say, Jessica? So that I can understand. So Jessica, if you're asking me this question, can I clarify? I mean that, okay, instead, okay, cool. Now, there is limitation in messaging, because messaging, either SMS or WhatsApp or whatever that is, does not depict the accurate emotion. So those words that are sent out does not depict and does not give us a clear clarity of what's really the message behind it. And a lot of times when you receive a message from someone that you don't know, what's your initial thought? What do you guys think? What's the initial thought? If you receive a message, spam, scam or spam. Wow, someone says scam, someone says spam, right? Because there are so many bad experiences. What happens then? When you send a message without knowing that person for the first time, you put it there, immediately, okay, it will trigger a certain negative experience that you had before, because you're not clear about the message. If it's someone that you know, is different. So let me ask this question. How many of you has bad experience receiving message from people that you don't know? How many of you bad? If you have that experience, please write bad. Write bad on the chat room right now. BAD. How many of you have received bad? There you go. Bad experience. There you go. So we are creatures of habit, and when we are not clear, whatever comes to us, we go into a defense. But this is the natural nature of how a human being behaves. The minute you see something that is familiar to a bad experience, even though it's not your fault, and it's really not your fault because you have crafted a beautiful message, a nice message, but what happens? That's when the defense go up. When the defense goes up, I will not be so receptive to your message. So what I really I try to encourage you is to pick up the phone and just have that conversation. And you could send a message by saying, my name is John. Can I give you a call between these 2 days because I'm interested to see if I can add value to you? You can start thinking about that kind of message that follows up with a call. Or even if you want to send a message, send a video to introduce yourself. Maybe that will work. But it's still very odd if I never seen you and never met you and you send me a video. Is this guy okay or not, right? So my challenge to you guys here today is to pick up the phone and have that conversation. And it doesn't matter if you pick up a phone and someone is not interested. It doesn't mean you're not good. It means maybe that person is not ready or that person is not interested. It is not about how good or not good you are. It's about you doing it enough to find the right person. There are 7 million people in Klang Valley right now. If your goal in your GPS is to sell or find 40 buyers or 30 buyers to hit your goal, some even 10 buyers to hit your goal, you've got 7 million people to look for that 10 buyers this year. If you look at that from a perspective, there's a lot of people to pick up the phone and call. So I encourage everyone to look at it this way. Mathematically, it is possible. It is not impossible. There is no limiting beliefs that will stop you. Okay, we are running out of time, so I don't think we have time to go through everything. Can I have the announcements, please? Just a quick announcement. So if you are interested in some of the books that we have, this is the way to go for it. Send an email to hello@refill, and some of these books will probably help you in your life and your business. Next message, please. Next slide. These are the trainings that we'll be having today. This afternoon at 2 to 4 p.m. We're going to have database management on the Chinese version. How many of you had enjoyed the session yesterday with Timothy? So this is going to be another version. Now, please know that all the trainers are sharing from their experiences. It's very different, but the fundamentals, concept, and the principles are the same, right? So that's going to happen. Now, for all refill agents, I'm asking you to tune in to our live announcement updates for today at 1 p.m. I have a very, very important announcement to make this afternoon. So please, if you're a refill agent, please tune in to the 1 p.m. Announcement. If you need the Zoom link, please go and get it from your MCA or your MCS. You have not received. You should have received a Zoom link from your market center support this yesterday or today. So please, if you don't have it, get it done. Next slide, please. Next slide. So tomorrow we have a Bahasa Melayu session, and this is the most important one. Thursday, please sign up for this training. Please sign up for Dagabedo Casios. This is very important training that I want all of us to sign up. This will definitely help us in our Big Rocks activity. This is so matched for today's session to support you for your business and to set you up for success. So please sign up to this training ASAP. We have about 300 over people sign up already. We do expect a huge crowd. So please sign up. We will not send out the link to anyone if you have not signed up, okay? Let me repeat, we will not send out the link to anyone if you have not signed up. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Okay, we have end a slide. So thank you very much for joining us today. I hope you guys are learning something. And I will see you at 1 p.m. for all review agents. I will see you at 1 p.m. Have a good lunch. Go to those links that we are sharing right now. You can just copy and paste it to your browser and you can get in. If you can give us a feedback for training today, it will be excellent help for us to improve. right? So thank you very much. Thank you, William. Thank you for spending your time and your effort in doing this. Thank you for giving us your best. I think you are giving us your best right now. So thank you, William. Thank you, everyone. Have a good one. See you all later.
Bye.